110. That's the emergency number for the fire service. 110 should only be dialed when there is a fire. It is important for children and adults alike to know this is the number to call, as swift action may save lives and properties. Between the pages today, we zoom in on saving lives and how one bank is rescuing the local productive sectors and stimulating growth. Plus, the latest out of the office of the Prime Minister. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is Jamaica Magazine. Please stay with us.
No, son. A verb is an action word.
Parents need to become more involved in their children's education.
Parents are the first and in many cases the most important teachers.
Read with your children. Review their schoolwork. Visit their school.
Tapping and rapping and slapping, I said.
Nice. High five. Woo!
A good education will never decay.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, February 20. Government will be spending an estimated $11 billion on several projects to better equip and accommodate members of the security forces in the 2018-19 fiscal year. The funds are set aside in the Ministry of National Security's Capital A budgetary allocation and will be drawn from the Consolidated Fund. It includes $2.5 billion to purchase motor vehicles and bikes for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Jamaica Defense Force, and the Department of Correctional Services. Another $3.8 billion will go towards the payment of 2 surveillance aircraft for the JDF. In the area of technology, $2.5 billion will be used to strengthen the JDF and JCF's cybersecurity capabilities, as well as to install CCTVs and upgrade radio networks. All 3 arms of the security and correctional forces will benefit from a combined $2.2 billion of infrastructure development works. These expenditures supplement the more than $66 billion allocated for recurrent expenses and $1.4 billion in support from multilateral and bilateral partners for the financial year, which begins on April 1. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education is using a significant portion of its 2018-2019 budget on projects to increase the number of classrooms across infant and secondary schools. Under the Rationalization of Infant Department project, $30 million will be spent to renovate infant schools and create infant departments in 9 primary schools. To address concerns of overcrowding and phase out the shift system, 5 schools will be expanded, while work will continue on prior projects at 6 schools to construct additional classrooms. In addition, ramps are to be constructed at 25 high schools to allow access for disabled persons. In other news, the Ministry of Education is assisting the police in conducting a psychological assessment of a 17-year-old student of Woolmer's Boys School who was taken in for questioning yesterday in relation to alleged threats of violence and murder. Detectives from the JCF's Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, led by Assistant Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey, questioned the student along with his parents in the wake of a threatening voice note he reportedly sent to a teacher. Other students were also questioned. It's reported that the student has indicated he would have attempted suicide twice before, and one relative interviewed said he was found reading a book that has the numbers 666 on the cover, and so it was destroyed. As a result of the preliminary discussions held among ministry officials and school administrators, a follow-up meeting was scheduled for today to include the chairman of the school board. That meeting was called to address the general safety and security of the school, risks, threats, and areas that may need strengthening. The Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries will be embarking on an aggressive legislative agenda this year to strengthen work being carried out in the various productive sectors.
To support its strategic priorities to ensure food security, sustainable use of agricultural land and fisheries resources, and facilitate an enabling local business environment.
Among the legislation being fast-tracked is the Fisheries Bill, which is expected to allow for better management of this industry. Legislation is also being pursued to facilitate the importation, distribution and storage of animals and animal products and byproducts with regard to disease and safety. To support industry and commerce, Parliament is to debate a bill to provide regulation for insolvent financial institutions, ensure the protection of local brands, and to transform the scrap metal regulation to an act for better enforcement, including the restriction of brass for export. The Governor-General made this announcement as he outlined government's policy agenda in the 2018-2019 throne speech during last Thursday's ceremonial opening of Parliament. The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica PCJ is reporting that a geological study recently conducted has revealed further encouraging signs for possible petroleum potential on and offshore Jamaica. The study was done by the PCJ and integrated geoscience company CGG Robertson UK over an 18-month period. It revealed 2 independent live oil seeps in different sections of Jamaica's oil blocks. Detailed analysis confirmed active working petroleum systems that are generating and expelling liquid hydrocarbons to the surface. The full details of the study are outlined in an extensive hydrocarbon potential report available for purchase from CGG. Known in the oil and gas industry as a Red Book, the recently completed report should serve as a go-to document for explorers evaluating frontier countries like Jamaica for exploration acreage. Group General Manager of the PCJ, Winston Watson, says the scientific indicators should bolster the corporation's ongoing drive to interest explorers in Jamaica's open oil blocks. It's anticipated that the CGG Red Book will attract interest from potential explorers as its release comes just ahead of the commencement of the first ever 3D seismic surveys in Jamaica's offshore. And finally, as the operation to suppress crime in St. James continues, the parish's capital is getting more positive attention. The Love Mobay Foundation, which was launched recently, has been mobilizing teams to encourage residents to engender a culture of civic pride. Founder of the initiative, Douglas Gordon, says the goal is for citizens to have a greater desire to see to the welfare of their communities.
What I wanted to do and what I hope Love Mobay Foundation will do and this initiative will do is first and foremost give people a sense of belonging and give people a sense of opportunity and give people a sense of hope.
Citizens are being encouraged to join the non-profit initiative by using hashtag #ILoveMobay on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
But dear man, this is a nice place you have here, man. Swimming pool, tennis court, gym. This must cost you a fortune.
Fortune? No, man. This is what they call a strata. Everybody owns a piece, and we are sharing the ownership of the common area.
Strata? Explain to me how that works.
A strata is an ownership arrangement where each owner owns the inside of his or her own space. Everything else is shared, which include the roof, the pool, the tennis court, the walkways, even the parking areas. But there's usually a maintenance fee for all of that though.
For more information on strata living, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations.
Supporting Jamaica's economic reform program has been a major focus for the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB. The bank has invested in several sectors, helping to spur successes in entrepreneurship and social protection. Watch now for more on the role of the IDB in Jamaica.
Developing a robust economy, enabling a thriving business environment, building resilience to climate change, protecting the most vulnerable in society. Some of the ways Jamaica's leading source of development financing, the Inter-American Development Bank, is working with the government to improve lives. The Inter-American Development Bank is strengthening Jamaica's economy by providing assistance to the government's economic reform program.
We started out on this journey 4 years ago with the 2013 IMF program, which had a very significant financing component to it. So part of it was funded by the IMF, part of it was funded by the IDB, part of it was funded by the World Bank. So we were 3 partners all helping Jamaica restructure its economy. That has been extremely successful, as you know. Jamaica sailed through that program, met every single target, all the reforms were done, and hence we see confidence coming back, not just domestic investors, but also consumers are starting to feel like, all right, things are happening in the country.
We borrowed $600 million in one single year. That year made us the largest borrower from the IDB. We've put it in a range of very important projects that have been supportive of the government's reform program.
Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, are the backbone of Jamaica's economy, creating an estimated 90% of new jobs. The IDB engages MSMEs through the Multilateral Investment Fund, MIF.
Primarily through providing access to finance to entrepreneurs and also to help them with their capacity building and create ecosystem in which they can thrive and do well.
Funding from the MIF was channeled through the Jamaica Stock Exchange to assist businesses such as CAC 2000 Limited to access equity capital through the junior stock market.
We are growing, we are trying to manage the growth. We're actually growing out of our establishment right now. We don't have enough space, so we're looking to expand as much as we can now.
Red Stripe's Project Grow, which aims to replace 40% of an imported raw material with locally grown cassava, has been boosted with a technical assistance grant of US $80,000 from the IDB.
We have 200 people now working under this project. If you take into consideration that you take an impact of an average of 7 persons impacted by every direct people employed, we're impacting almost 1,400 people in Jamaica.
Larger companies receive assistance through IDB Invest, the private sector arm of the bank. Investments are made in projects that will have a major development impact in the region and the country.
If you look at the Kingston Container Terminal project, for instance, we've provided almost 90 million in financing to that project. And the whole idea here is that with that investment, Jamaica can play a greater role in being a logistics hub and playing a role in international transshipment.
The IDB is helping to build Jamaica's resilience to climate change through the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience, PPCR.
We have right now 3 major projects that are being supported under the PPCR. The first one is on a national level, and that's the adaptation program and financial mechanisms. The second side of it goes directly into adaptation. And the third component of this is the financial mechanisms. And one of them is a line of credit that is being implemented by Jamaica National Group.
The owners of Forest Park Guest House and Farms used this loan facility to make their business more climate smart.
These ponds basically harvest the rainwater, and from that we can do whatever needs that the farm has.
The bank helps vulnerable Jamaicans through the Program for Advancement Through Health and Education, PATH, and the Citizen Security and Justice Program, CSJP.
I don't think I would have done so successful if I wasn't on the PATH program, knowing that the lunch that they provide for me every day, it helped me a lot knowing that when I have more food in my belly, it can help me to stay up more and study more for longer hours.
The IDB has been a supporting partner of the CSJP, a crime prevention initiative, since the program started 17 years ago. The various services offered by the CSJP have impacted several volatile and vulnerable communities across Jamaica.
We have a program called the Violence Interruption Program, which is implemented by PMI on behalf of CSJP. And we have seen communities or groups in communities that have gone into peace truce.
The Inter-American Development Bank continues to work with the Jamaican government to improve lives and help Jamaica to become the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
This is Jamaica. This is our land.
future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica. This is our land.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was busy last week despite the holiday which came midweek. Take a look.
Crime, justice and housing among key areas to get priority attention in the 2018-2019 legislative year. Plus government's budget of $773.7 billion revealed and a stronger partnership to better serve citizens. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. The Andrew Holness-led administration's agenda for the 2018-2019 legislative year was outlined on Thursday. Among the areas for major focus are several pieces of legislation to support crime-fighting measures and to strengthen the justice system. This message was delivered by Governor General Sir Patrick Allen, who outlined government's policy agenda in the 2018-2019 throne speech.
The administration is committed to providing additional resources and support to the anti-crime fight. The justice system will also be given special attention, while the social interventions targeting unattached youth will continue in earnest.
The National Housing Trust is also targeted to deliver more than 4,700 houses and over 6,000 housing starts. And $220 million will be spent in the new fiscal year on two programs to expand and improve the island's water capacity and infrastructure. And following the throne speech, government revealed its projected spending for the 2018-2019 fiscal year. Approximately $773.7 billion has been estimated to manage the affairs of the country. $560 billion will be spent on recurrent expenses, including money for public sector wages and managing hospitals and schools. More than $213 billion is also budgeted to carry out capital projects, including work on some major traffic corridors. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says stronger partnerships will be formed between government and stakeholders to better serve citizens. Mr. Holness was speaking at a luncheon hosted for parliamentarians on the lawns of Jamaica House following the ceremonial opening of Parliament on Thursday.
Out of us sitting down as one parliament, one government, one state, we can share ideas that will work to the benefit of all.
The Prime Minister stressed that the administration's position was to build partnerships across the society, with every sector working together seamlessly.
When we work together in that one body for the common good of Jamaica, we stand a better chance of succeeding than if we work separately. The posture of the government is to build partnerships across the whole of government, for the entire state to work together.
On Tuesday, a contract was signed to build 28 housing solutions in Denham Town. The $72.1 million project will include 24 studio apartments and 4 two-bedroom units. The construction is being financed by the National Housing Trust. Minister without portfolio in the Economic Growth Ministry, Dr. Horace Chang, says the project is symbolic of a new beginning for the people of downtown.
This government has placed great importance on the provision of affordable housing. It is a commitment of the Prime Minister and the entire Cabinet colleague, just for the low-income workers as well as young working professionals.
He adds that under the Denham Town project, a significant number of residents will be targeted for relocation in the Board Villa areas, where temporary homes have been constructed.
We expect that a number of the residents in what we call Board Villa will be relocated in the new homes, and that we will begin the design work to improve that area.
Also on Tuesday, Prime Minister Holness moved resolutions in Parliament for the extension of the zones of special operations in Mount Salem St. James and Denham Town Kingston. The 60-day extension took effect for Denham Town on February 14, while Mount Salem will take effect on February 28. Mr. Holness said the additional time is necessary to allow for the intensified delivery of social services and infrastructure investment, which have already commenced.
These efforts have already begun to yield important results and have largely been supported by the community.
The Prime Minister also informed Parliament that there had been no reports of murder or gang-related serious crimes in either of the two communities since the implementation of the ZOSOs. Still in Parliament, debate started on the International Business Companies IBC bill. The bill was piloted by a minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz. It seeks to modernize Jamaica's appeal as an investment market for international interests. Minister Vaz says the IBC bill will create a more attractive and competitive business environment in line with international standards and practices.
The bill is designed to attract and facilitate a wide variety of international business activities and boost Jamaica's standing in the international forum as the ideal location to foster and grow investment.
Also coming out of the office of the Prime Minister last week is assurance to judges and citizens that the Cabinet respects and reaffirms the separation of powers and independence of the judiciary in strengthening the rule of law. The statement was in response to a declaration issued by a group of judges who convened a summit of the judicial arm of government on Monday, February 12. Members of the judiciary have voiced objection at the appointment of an acting Chief Justice, which they argue could have negative implications for judicial independence. But in its response, the Office of the Prime Minister said it was never intended to have the recommended person act indefinitely, nor was there any intention on the part of the executive to supervise or direct the judicial branch. The statement goes further to say that the Prime Minister will recommend the appointment of the Chief Justice at an appropriate time and in short order. And finally, Prime Minister Holness lent his support to charity when he participated in the Sagicor Sigma corporate run on Sunday. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Do join us next time for more of the news coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Stop. Think before you burn. The dry season is on, so there's little to no rainfall and wind speeds increase around this time too. What if the fire you light gets out of control? Where would you get the water to out the flame? Why not try bagging up waste and putting it outside for collection? If you absolutely must burn, construct a fire break by clearing an area around the site to be burnt. Use water to wet the perimeter of the brush being burnt. Burn in small piles and be sure to burn one pile at a time. If no water is available, ensure you have some dirt to douse the fire. Remember, take stock of yourself and think before you burn.
When there's a fire, there's a team of emergency responders who try to save the lives of affected persons, often risking their own safety to retrieve individuals from burning buildings, vehicles, or bush. Next, we explore the life of an EMS.
I can remember we got an emergency call to Little London. Information received from our dispatch center is that a gentleman has slashed his own throat. Responding to that call, there were all sorts of expectations going through our minds, you understand, because we didn't know what to expect. But I don't have it that when we reached there, we saw him there on the bed with his throat slashed, wasn't a pretty sight, but knowing it's our job, we have to advance to the situation, and life depends on what we do at the present moment. We step forward and we realized that he was still breathing. So, there was this ray of hope. We realized then, and moving the things around the surrounding to get to, have proper control over the situation. We realized that the machete that he used was still there on the bed. During the process, we were still thinking, wondering if he's gonna make it or not. But we continued to stabilize, packaging him in the ambulance, continued on our way now to the hospital, monitoring him as we went along, and handed him over to the local hospital. And based on my knowledge, I get to understand that he was safe.
The most important part of my job is that to know that I can help someone, and at the same time, persons look up to me because of what I do.
Most important part of my job is when sometimes
You're trying to do your best, and you can't do any more to save that patient.
On the go, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The work of an emergency medical technician, EMT, is never done. When summoned, the goal of the EMT is to provide emergency medical services, EMS. That is, retrieve, care for, and deliver victims to an appropriate medical facility in the shortest possible time and under the best possible conditions. Emergency Medical Services is a functional arm of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, which began operation in 1996.
We started with 3 stations, Savlamar, Negril and Ironshore. In August of the same year, Lucy came on board, so we had 4 stations in operation. Further on, in 2005, you had Linstead opening. Linstead is in St. Catherine. And then in 2008, you had Falmouth. So presently we have 6 operational sites.
EMS is staffed by emergency medical technicians who respond to a number of trauma and medical related incidents, including road traffic accidents, cardiovascular emergencies, acute respiratory diseases, life-threatening trauma, severe bleeding, and obstetric emergency.
On a good day, we normally get up to 9 calls. Sometimes we do not get much calls, but what we do have is a lot of persons coming to the station requesting help. So for instance, if the unit is out, then they still come here, and if we don't have a unit present, if for some reason the unit is down, they still do come here, and although the health center is nearby, they use this facility as a first resort.
Let's say there's an emergency. The call comes in to the central post at the watchroom, and the firefighter in charge takes the information and alerts his colleagues at the station if it is that the team is in-house with the emergency bell. When that bell is rung, EMTs have to respond within a minute of the call. EMTs are firefighters who have indicated a need for EMS training. They are trained at 3 different levels: basic, intermediary, and advanced. At the basic level, training is 320 hours, inclusive of 3 weeks in the hospital.
When you finish that and you start working, then you can always move up to the next level, which is intermediate. Now, intermediate is 480 hours of training, and you have to do a month in the hospital. If you want to do additional training to the paramedic level, then you have to go overseas, and that is over 1,000 hours of training.
EMTs are brave men and women who are dedicated and equipped to providing the health care you need, oftentimes right where you are. For more information on EMS or any other specialized area in the Jamaica Fire Brigade, visit their website www.jfb.gov.jm or call 922-2523 or 922-0007.
This is where the page is closed for today. You may watch our features anytime at your leisure. Just click on our website or our YouTube channel. Our social media sites also have loads of information which you may find useful. Join us tomorrow on this station when we'll explore other educational programs. I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.